Welcome to the Taylor Emmett podcast. Honestly, not another boring legal podcast. I'm John Green, a personal injury solicitor at Taylor Emmett, and I'll be your host over this series of 6 podcast episodes. We're going to bring you the human stories behind what we hope will be interesting legal subjects. I'm going to be chatting to a smattering of experts from around the firm about what they do, who they are, and hopefully with a few smiles along the way. Right, let's meet today's guest. On this episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Michaela Evans to discuss new developments in her work as a family solicitor. Welcome, Michaela.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And you are a Legal 500 Hall of Famer.
Apparently,
in our family law, and a collaborative lawyer.
I am.
So the first question is, as a Legal 500 Hall of Famer, do you get a paving slab with a star on it?
No, but do you know what? I should. Do you know, it's funny because what does it mean, Hall of Fame? It was a bit weird, really. I thought it meant I could retire, but apparently not. And I did ask if I was going to get a star on my door, but then I remembered I don't actually have a door because we're all nice and open plan.
So what we'd really like you to talk about today is the Resolution Together, which is a new initiative. Can you just give us a bit of background about what that is? Yeah,
I can. It's a bit revolutionary, actually. So it's, in simple terms, it's 2 clients, 1 lawyer, for families who are separating or going through a divorce. Now, anyone that's been through that situation will know that normally you'd ring a solicitor and say, oh, look, we're on really good terms. We'd like to come in and see you together and get it all sorted. And lawyers have always said and had to say, can't do that, I'm afraid. We're not allowed to represent and advise both parties when they separate. But in actual fact, there's been a lot of work done with the Solicitors Regulation Authority, who, John, you know, but not everybody knows, is the body that sets all our rules and regulations and tells us what we can and can't do.
Mainly what we can't do.
Mainly what we can't do. Yeah. And one of those things was you can't act for both parties when they're getting a divorce or separating. So Resolution, which is a national organisation of family lawyers who are committed to dealing with matters in a constructive, cooperative, amicable fashion and trying to take the heat out of family situations and trying to keep it out of court. So Resolution have been working with the Solicitors Regulation Authority to find a model of working, a way of working with couples where one lawyer can work with them both, can advise them both and help them through the process and hopefully come out the other side feeling a little less battle-scarred than often they have. So
essentially the system as it is now is set up for an adversarial approach.
It is, because, you literally send both parties off in different directions to see their own lawyers. I mean, if their lawyers are practising resolution members who really, do subscribe to the principles and the codes of practice, then hopefully they won't be adversarial. The aim will still be to try and deal with matters in an amicable way and try and keep the heat out of it as far as possible. But yeah, absolutely. The starting point when a client phones and says, we're on really good terms, we'd really like to come in and see you together, you have to say no. Well, that doesn't set the tone.
And is it quite, you said then, it sounded like it's quite common for that to be the case, that they are on good terms and that things are...
It's not uncommon, let's put it that way. Not every divorce or every separation is soap opera standard. It's not,
No.
screaming and slamming doors Or a lot of people may have been through that stage, have come out of that and are now thinking, OK, well, this is happening. We need to try and stay friends. We've got a family.
Yeah.
We've got children. It's important. So let's try and work it out together. So they might not be best friends now. And there's some of the meetings when you have both of them in a room can be quite emotionally charged. And there can still be tears and tantrums. But
and that's you. What about the client?
Actually, I have shed tears in clients' meetings before. I do something else called collaborative law, but that's not what we're talking about today. But collaborative is 2 lawyers, 2 clients, but signing an agreement to say we'll keep it out of court.
Right.
And the dynamic of having both clients in the room talking about the breakdown of their marriage, and sometimes they then cry. And I have to say there have been occasions where it's moved me and, you've had to sort of try and keep a grip.
I suppose that could be quite cathartic though in a way. Absolutely. For the clients.
Absolutely.
Part therapy, part mediation.
Well, yeah, I think I've had certain cases where I've had one party who's perhaps committed adultery, had an affair, apologise to the other party in the room, They acknowledged what they'd done. And that really went a long way
Powerful.
to sort of diffuse the anger and the bitterness. And yet, if they were both in separate offices with different solicitors and communicating just by letters, all of that's lost. You would never see a solicitor's letter saying, my client says he's really sorry that he's hurt your client or upset her. It's never going to happen. Put them in a room together and they're literally face to face with the person they've been married to for the last 10 years, raised kids with.
Yeah.
It's, there's still some feeling there, and you do get those moments that are a bit, choking.
I'm getting a bit emotional just thinking about it. So can any family lawyer do this sort of work?
It's an interesting question, really, because what is clear from the work that's been done with the Solicitors Regulation Authority is that actually there is no strict rule against representing both parties. Mm-hmm. You have to, however, satisfy yourself that there is no true conflict of interest, and it's all too boring and technical for this discussion. So really, any family lawyer could do a model of working with two clients. The Resolution Together model, however, is a specific model that's being created by Resolution, this national organisation I talked about, in conjunction with a very senior barrister who does regulatory work. And it's a model where Resolution are doing a training for it, and you have to go through certain modules of training. So you have to do a safeguarding training course, so you learn to spot the signs of financial abuse, coercive control, all that good stuff, because clearly they're not suitable cases for working with the couple.
That's led me on to one of my questions. I was thinking about this, and I was like, I thought there might be situations where there's a bit of an imbalance in power between the couples, and that could lead to sort of unjust outcomes. So that's been guarded against from the outset.
It is. So you can't start the process proper until you've been through a screening and safeguarding process with them. And so you see both parties separately as well as seeing them together. And it's interesting because sometimes you'll see someone on their own and they seem perfectly fine and together, and they don't tell you anything that, rings any alarm bells. And then you see the other person, same applies, put them in a room together, and the dynamic then can really shift. And you can see that one person controls the conversation, another person looks a little bit uncomfortable. You start reading body language. So there's a whole safeguarding part to this where you have to be absolutely satisfied, as far as you ever can be, that there's no imbalance of power, that there's a genuine commitment to being open and honest. There's no risk of abuse. And that's not just physical abuse, it is emotional abuse, coercive control, financial abuse is a big one. So Resolution have created this structure, this process, and you do have to go through a training process with them to be able to call yourself a Resolution Together lawyer.
Okay.
So I am a Resolution Together lawyer, and I am the only one at the moment, or to the best of my knowledge, I certainly was as of a month ago, north of Birmingham, and most of them were in London.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was in the first cohort of, I think there were 12 of us on the training course in December last year.
So were you approached to join this, or was it something that you found out off your own back?
No, I'm quite active in Resolution. So I sit on one of the National Resolution Committees, accrediting specialist lawyers. I'm on an accreditation committee. So I get to know a lot of what's going on and hear about it, and I thought it sounded quite interesting. I love working collaboratively, so two lawyers, two clients, committed to not going to court, and this seemed like a natural extension of that, really. And I am conscious that we do get clients who call reception and say, we'd like to come in and sort this out, and we've until now had to say, well, we can only see one of you. So it's great because we can actually give people what they want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So no, I'd heard about it, was interested, and booked on the training course.
Brilliant. Do you ever have time for anything else? You sound very busy.
No, well, aren't we all? Yeah, it's the nature of the beast. But if it's all good stuff. It's a really positive way of working with people, and I enjoy it. I like problem solving, and it's
and
good.
Is there a pricing structure for this, or is it an hourly thing?
It's an hourly rate at the moment. Yeah, I know some people. It's interesting because the group of lawyers that I was on the training course with, we've got a little WhatsApp group together, as you do. Because we were all a bit mind blown, to be honest. You do the course and you come out thinking, what? I've been doing this job 30 plus years, and suddenly I'm being told I can do something I always thought I couldn't. And so we've all been a bit nervous about it, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
So we're sharing views and opinions and ideas, and not surprisingly, pricing was one of them. And there are a couple, I think, are going the fixed price route. At the moment, we're not. We're doing the hourly rate.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you have to say to clients, it's cheaper to be paying one lawyer their hourly rate than two.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
even...
And the more you can agree on, the cheaper it'll be.
Indeed. Indeed.
Well, that's a powerful motivator, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, it's... The reality is you've only got one pot of money as a family.
Yeah. And
the more that you spend on lawyers, the less there is for the two of you.
Well, exactly. And the kids and what have you, the dog.
Exactly. And, lawyers have this reputation of being, trying to spin out arguments and fan the flames just to get more money. But the reality is we're very busy people. And actually, I've got plenty of work, thank you very much. So I'm not in the business of spinning out everybody's case. It's better for me to get them dealt with quickly, amicably, move them on.
Yeah, and they can get on with their lives.
Yeah, and they're more likely to recommend you, to be honest, to their friends because their experience of a family lawyer was hopefully a bit more positive.
And that is exactly the sort of thing you'd be asking your friends for a tip on.
Yeah.
Would it be the case that this kind of approach would be unsuitable for certain people, would you say?
Yeah, well, we've already touched on, haven't we, that there are certain family dynamics that don't work. It wouldn't suit someone who was very positional, and by that I mean they've got a very strong opinion of what the outcome's going to be, and they're not going to be open to discussing or negotiating or listening. But beyond that, I think, as long as you've got two people who are prepared to be open and honest with their finances, so produce the documents we need, give the information we need, they're willing to be open to negotiation, they're not positional, there's no abuse, then it can cover cases from a family who have, very little to divvy up between them through to multimillionaires with their companies and their offshore trusts. It can, the full range. So,
and did they tell you about the offshore trusts?
Well, that's always the question, isn't it? It's not the easiest thing in the world to hide.
No, I suppose not. So I guess there'll be situations where, whilst this process is ongoing, where conflicts will arise and you might have to say, this is no longer suitable. Yeah.
And it depends what you mean by conflict. It's, one end of the spectrum of conflict is, well, I want 50% of your pension. Well, I only want to give you 30% of your pension. Well, that's not a conflict that would stop you dealing with the case in this way, because that's the whole point of this method, is to then negotiate and try and get to an agreement.
End up at 40.
And end up at 40. Or 41.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But yeah, you've done this before, haven't you?
Wow. Do a bit of negotiating.
Yes. But if there may be an issue that becomes a true conflict of interest where you genuinely can't then act for them, or it's the 50 versus 30% and they can't resolve it by agreement, because I'm not a judge, I can't tell them what to do. I can only help them find their way. If they literally get stuck, or there's a true conflict of interest where it's a kind of legal issue where I just can't help them resolve it, then they would have to end the process and they'd have to both go and get new lawyers.
So you couldn't act for one of those people?
I couldn't act for either of them, no.
And
that's clear in the agreement that we sign up to right at the beginning. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of an example now. I'm not, touch wood, I've not yet come across one.
So you've done quite a few of these already?
Well, I mean, I say quite a few. I've got 4 ticking along at the moment, which, bearing in mind, I trained just before Christmas, so it was only in January that we pressed the button. Because there was a lot of technical paperwork to get signed off in the background, and also we had to get the firm's insurance company to sign off on it, because it's an unusual way of working.
Yes.
So it was really mid-January by the time we started really advertising it at all. And so I think actually 4 in that period it's quite a lot.
Good going. I mean, by the time this podcast is out, you'll
I know.
They'll be beating
I'll be
down
doing
the
nothing
door.
else. Well, I hope so. I mean, it's just...
Well, it's great. People should do this.
Yeah, and I really enjoy working this way, I have to say. I mean, it's a privilege, actually, to sit in a room with a couple who are genuinely committed to trying to work things out in an amicable fashion. Because, believe you me, I have a better spring in my step going home on those days than the days I've been to court and people have been tearing strips off each other. It's just horrible.
Yeah. You're going to set me off again.
I know. It is emotional, but I mean, John, I know with the work you do, you're involved in people's private lives. You're not just buying or selling a house, which in itself, I get, can be emotional.
Yeah.
But you get to know your clients over a long time. I know with the work you do, you get a relationship with these clients,
And they're not coming to you because things are going well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you're not careful, you can either become part of the problem or perceived as part of the problem. And it's our job to do the opposite, really.
Try and be as detached as you can be, but also make them feel like you're on their side.
Yeah. And the good thing with this as well is you're on both their sides when you're doing resolution together. You're on the side of the family. And actually, what I usually say, and the children are obviously never in the room, is I'm on the side of the children, where they've got kids. You know, I'm sitting here really as the voice of your children in this and wanting the two of you to get a solution that keeps them in a good place and their family in a good place.
Because there's nothing, fortunately, I never had to see it, but I know friends growing up who saw their parents ripping strips off each other, and it affects them even now.
Yeah.
And
Well, don't get me started on that. That's a whole other chat for a whole other day. But there's an awful lot of research out there and evidence of the long-term impact that can arise from children seeing really, acrimonious divorces from their parents. It's horrible, and history repeats itself. They have dysfunctional relationships when they're growing up. So you're helping the couple, but you're helping their children. You're also helping the wider family, the wider friendship groups, because the divorce has this enormous ripple effect. And if you get to a stage where everybody thinks they've got to take sides, and if they're friends with Jane, they can't be friends with John anymore, and they have to be careful who they invite to dinner, and they have to be careful who's invited to the wedding and the party, and it's just horrible. So actually, if you can help this couple retain a sensible relationship going forward, then the impact for the wider network is huge,
and ultimately retain their dignity in some cases, because there's nothing like a breakup to bring out the worst in people.
I know. I wish we could film a real life court case to show them that this is what it would be like. This is, you might find it difficult sitting in this room today with your other half. Just think how much more difficult it is in a courtroom, sitting facing each other with a judge sat at the end, taking all the control away. You're losing all your power. You've got no say at the end of the day what happens. Why would you not do this? Why would this not be better?
So while I've been kind of researching for this podcast, I've come across something where it would appear that the government is currently consulting on a new process. She's looking at me blank-faced. Essentially, the government wants to legislate to force people into mediation.
Oh, right, okay.
Using court as a last resort.
Panic there. I thought I'd missed something. I didn't think of it as a new process. And actually, it's really annoying that you're even thinking of it as a new process. Because this exists now. You're going to get me angry. I'll start tapping the table. It's really frustrating because quite a few years ago, a rule was introduced that you could not make an application to the court about a family law related matter without first of all attending mediation. And this was all intended to keep matters out of court. There were exceptions, of course. If it was urgent, if you found out your other half was about to do a flit out of the country with your child, you could make an emergency application. But otherwise, prior to making an application to the court, you had to have been to see a mediator and at least had a mediation information meeting where you got to know about what mediation was and decide whether or not it might work for you. And you had to get literally a tick in a box from a mediator in order to do that. So that exists already. And it's a great frustration to family lawyers that the courts haven't really enforced it. So the courts haven't always really policed it. So people willy-nilly make applications to court without going to mediation. But what's even worse is they pay lip service to it. So I know family lawyers who send their clients to a mediator and say, just tell the mediator you want them to fill in that form, i.e. get a tick in a box. Not to actively go and genuinely engage in a proper conversation about whether mediation might work. So it is not a new rule. It really is annoying because we always refer our clients out to mediation before going to court. And if we refer them, it's look, see if this will work, engaging it, give it a go, because it has to be worth trying. And so, it's been a frustration that not all family lawyers have been prepared to work in that way, but also that the courts haven't been enforcing it. So anything that sort of gives that a kick up the backside and hopefully makes it start happening is welcome.
Rather than a tick in a box.
Rather than a tick in a box.
I mean, what I really want to ask you about is One of my favourite TV shows of the last few years, The Split on BBC.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
So, I mean, I watched it and I thought of you.
Oh, well, I'm flattered.
Well, you've got these very glamorous, well-dressed, strong female lawyers basically running the show.
It's just amazing. Isn't it fab? If only life were like that, eh?
Eh?
I had absolute serious clothes envy watching. I mean, just
They
fantastic.
do have good clothes, don't they?
What was funny is quite a few times when I was watching it, I would quickly get the mobile out and start Googling, where did so-and-so get their dress from episode 2 of The Split?
Top
And
search.
Yeah, absolutely. And they would always tell you, or they'd tell, and most of them were completely unaffordable, or they would tell you the equivalent high street version that you could find.
That's good.
No, fantastic show. I also had office envy, but I have to say, our new offices.
Not anymore.
I know.
Not anymore.
It's feeling good here.
Because they started off, didn't they, in that like beautiful old building with high ceilings and the gorgeous architecture, and then they moved into very
Slick.
flash, state-of-the-office city. Yeah.
I know. With no paper anywhere.
No one had any
Pretty much.
paper. And no one really seems to do any work. Did you see that?
I did notice that, actually.
And they drank a lot of wine.
Yeah. It's not that dissimilar, but yeah. Great programme. Love it. Shouldn't love it because it was all a bit ridiculous, but
Did you find yourself shouting at the telly?
a few times.
Yeah.
I think the highlight for me was when, and this probably might not mean a lot to many people, but when they had a barrister drafting a divorce petition, which is something that, you sort of learn to do on day one in the office, and you would never get a barrister to draft one.
So you were screaming. £800 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So literally I was screaming at the telly at that point. But most of the time I was just sat, gawping at it, wishing that life was really like that.
Yeah, it was fabulous. It made me think, maybe I need a change of career. Maybe I'll go into family.
Well, you'd be very welcome, John.
Oh, well, thanks. So if this podcast doesn't work out, I'll take you up on that. Oh, thank you ever so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, likewise.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for listening. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you'd like to learn more about any of the subjects we've touched upon, we've handpicked some free resources for you, which we will put in the show notes. There's also loads of info on our website, so head over to tayloremmett.co.uk. If something we've spoken about today has given you a burning desire to speak to a solicitor, and let's face it, why wouldn't it have? Then we'd love to speak to you. Head over to the website again, that's tayloremmett.co.uk for more information. You'll find all our contact details right there, so give us a shout. We're lovely, I promise.